Alright, so here we are in the project studio. I got some other panels right there. However, they're going to be getting moved out of the way. And I'm going to be building floor to ceiling super chunk corner bass traps. Alright. And here is my Roxul Safe and Sound. I'm using the 16-inch width. And I'm basically going to be cutting triangles and using that triangle to fit into the corner. And I'll be cutting each one. Now what's inside of here is 12 bats that are 15 1/4 inch wide from here to there. So they're 15 1/4 wide. They're 3 inches thick. And they're stacked up on top of each other, and there's 12 of them. And they're 47 inches long. However, I'm going to be cutting them into triangles and fitting them in the corner. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up, sort of, and let them uncompress for probably a day. And that's what we're going to do. Alright, so here's what it looks like when it's expanded. And there's actually 2 3-inch layers missing. So it expands out pretty high compared to how it comes packaged. Now I'm going to set my camera here and I'm going to actually go there and cut this. And I'm better raise this up a little bit. And you're going to see how much it expands. So as you can see, it expanded about another foot higher than from when it was packaged. Let's go check it out. Now these corners are all going to pop up. It's all going to be nicely defined like this one after it settles for a couple hours. Alright, got some funky lighting going on, but who cares? So I'm going to do a measurement, my first measurement of the room before treatment. Alright, just got some regular Owens Corning 703 panels right there built. Got those in the corners. I got some acoustic foam tiles on the wall already. Alright, that's just the light for the camera. And right here, what I'm doing is I'm calibrating Room EQ Wizard's SPL meter to match my mic. Basically, I'm going for an 80 decibel level for my measurements. And I'm going to do my measurement. And there is like this stuff over here, all my material for my paneling, the Roxul Safe and Sound. So it's probably going to affect it just a little bit, but not really, because this is like a near field measurement. So I'm going to go ahead and do the measurements, and this is pretty much the setup I'm using. After I calibrate this REQ Wizard to 80 decibels for my microphone, I'm going to remove, or basically move this away. This isn't going to be there anymore. This SPL meter. It's the Radio Shack SPL meter on a separate tripod. So that's what's going on. So one more little pan of the room. All right, it's kind of, I don't have a wide angle lens. It's 22 feet long. I think it's like 12.5 feet wide. And I got 8-foot ceiling over there, and I got a 7-foot ceiling over there. Alright, so measuring for your cuts in order to create triangles, how do you do that? Well, I'm going to use this. You can use tape measure whatever you want. This is faster. What you want to do is you want to measure how wide it is. Alright? And the width of this comes out to about 15 1/4. Alright? So in order to get a perfect triangle, you're going to have to measure 15 1/4 out from the edge. So you take your thing, I measure out 15 1/4, and I mark it with a little dot, with a Sharpie. Alright? You do the same thing on the other end. Measure out to 15 1/4, mark it. From that location, you're going to then continue on and mark out the rest of the lengths. So from this location, I'm going to mark out 15 1/4 on the edge. From here too. 15 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. So I got my 15 1/4 marks. Now comes the trick, okay? I wouldn't call it a trick, but whatever. That's why I'm using this, because it's quicker. Alright, so we have these marks now. What are we going to do with them? Simple. So in order to get a perfect triangle off of this, what you're going to do is you're going to take it from this corner to your mark. And make sure you mark on the edge, alright? Because you're going to go like this. I'm going to line it up with that. I'm going to line it up with my mark. And I'm going to draw from the corner down to my mark. A very light line is all you need. So there's your first drawing. Alright, so as you can see, there's that line I drew. Alright, sorry about the lighting. And here's one of your triangles already. Alright, well, we also marked the other side. So what we're going to do is we're basically going to draw a line straight across to the other side. So I'm going to line this dot up with this dot, and using my ruler, I'm going to draw a straight line all the way across. There you go. So now I have my 2 triangles that I can use. And I'm going to continue that all the way down. So here we go. I can make this quicker just by simply doing all my straight across marks. Line them up. Draw a line. And then I'll do my cross mark by going from the top of this corner to this corner of the line. And make sure you get it lined up perfectly. Boom. Boom. Alright, so these are the marks I have made. Alright. There's a triangle there, right there, right there, right there. I'm getting 6 triangles out of this. This little end piece here is waste. However, I'm going to use it. And it's actually sitting over here on the floor. All these little pieces, they're 3 inches thick, right? Because that's how thick they are. Well, when I'm done, I'm going to have a whole nother line here. And I'll be able to make a little small panel out of that alone. Alright, so this is what I'm going to be using to cut it. I have my blade marked, which doesn't really matter to me because I can just eye the marking. What that marking signifies is I'm going to cut 2 at a time. That's 6 inches. I'm going to cut through 2 of them at a time by going down a certain depth like that. And as I knife through them, I'm going to cut 2 panels at a time, saving myself some time. I just said time 800 million times. Alright, I got eye pro, I got some gloves, and I have a little thing that I'm going to make into a face mask. Alright, to protect myself. Alright, so let's fucking do this. You might want to wear long sleeves if you're a pansy. You might want to plug it in so it works. Take 2. Alright, let's fucking do this. Alright? You might want to wear long sleeves if you're a fucking pansy. I eat this shit for breakfast. I'm just kidding. Let's do our cuts. Real simple. Do this shit one-handed, bitches. Now when you get to the end here, you're going to want to move the knife a little slower so you don't pull it out and fuck it up. Here's my 2 end pieces I'm going to make another panel out of. Alright, so I made my cuts. And as you can see, I can just pull this off. Alright. See, it's nice and firm. Alright. Corner's kind of fucked up, but that was from packaging, but that doesn't matter. Now you're going to see it. Alright. Here's another one. And as I said, I cut through 2 layers. So here's the other layer. Already cut. Alright. And as you can see, I barely scathed the other one. but it's still good. So I got 2 whole layers cutting my triangles, and I have my waist, which isn't going to be waste because I'm going to make a whole panel out of it once I'm done with all of them. And that panel is going to be used for my ceiling cloud. This one is 2, and I'm also going to have, I believe, 2 more panels over here left over when I'm done to make a ceiling cloud that's going to go above there, above my thing. And of course, that's not going to be there, and that's not going to be there. That other foam stuff you see is going to be gone. Alright, so how nasty is this rock wool as far as like itching and protection, needing protection? I ain't gonna lie to you. I did this whole side here without any gloves. I only had the face piece on for the face mask, and I had on safety glasses. However, I had nothing on my hands. Now, if you're really cautious, you might want to use goggles, which totally seal off your face. I did this whole corner cut, this whole pieces, I cut all the pieces up with just the face mask and the glasses and no gloves. I did experience very small amount of itching on my hand, but I'm talking like for a split second I might have felt the itch, so who knows, it probably wasn't even from the fiberglass. But if you look at my glove, alright, if you were looking at my glove right now, I could see all the little bitty fibers, okay, that would probably cause you to itch, alright? So it's on you to use protection. Now I'm using these triangles here and this size because when I went to Lowe's, they did not have the 2 foot by 4 feet pieces, alright, of panels. I'm using the smaller ones. I'm using the 15, it's labeled 15 and a half, but it's more like 15 and a quarter. And it's supposed to be like 48, but I think it's like 47 inches, alright? Since I'm using the thinner ones, you're still getting the same amount inside the bag, but they're just configured differently. So it's going to be more work. If I would have gotten the 8 panels, I believe you get 8 in a pack, and they're 2 by 4, 2 foot by 4 foot. This way, it would have made this job a hell of a lot quicker because I wouldn't have to do as many cuts. So I rolled with what they had, and that's what they had. So I mean, you could order it offline and have it shipped to you, but I ain't doing that because I'm saving money here. So that's why you see myself using 2 triangles. However, if I would have had the 2 foot by 4 foot, that whole triangle would be one whole, well, those 2 triangles would be one whole triangle. You get what I'm saying? Another quick note here, the side that you're going to want facing you, in other words, facing you, is going to be the side, the original side that's cut nice and straight to look more neater. Not like you're really going to be able to see it, but, you know, whatever. So that's the side that's going to be facing you when I take it over to the pile that's in the corner. So that's just another little thing you might want to think about. You don't have to, because this cut here is actually really nice and straight. So it's whatever. Alright, so you see that midway point thing over there? Alright. So I'm doing my other one over here. And 1 by 2, couple 45-degree angles on each end. Here's the other one. I have 1/2 inch drywall, so that's pretty thick. And I didn't get lucky enough to have a stud where I needed it. Alright. That's okay. I'm using these inside of my drywall. They're anchors. Alright. And basically, you drill a 1/4 inch hole. You take your anchor, you put it in, alright, and I'm going to use something to push it in. I'll use this piece of wood here. You can use a hammer or whatever. And I'm basically just going to push it in. Flush. And there it is. I got 2 of them in already. And what that's going to allow me to do is to use the screws to basically screw it to the wall. Right there. So it's going to attach it to the wall as you see there, and then there's going to be another front piece. So it's basically, these are just little L brackets that you see there. Corner braces, I got those from Lowe's also. And like I said, this isn't going to be holding too much weight, but due to having 1/2 inch drywall and 2 of those on there, this can hold quite a bit of poundage. Alright, it's going to hold, it can hold more than enough that I need for what I'm going to be using it for, I guess you could say. Plus, the whole front of this is going to have a front frame. And there's my framing lumber. It's going to go to the front, and it's going to attach to that anyway, so the whole front of this is going to be supported by a frame that's going to stretch all the way around it. So we're covered on that. Alright, so I got both my pieces up here. Now, this is the triangle that I cut that's going to fit up here. Alright? And due to the size that I purchased, alright, when I stick it up here, it doesn't extend out all the way to the end. Alright? So you can see that that's kind of flimsy. So there's actually going to be another piece of wood that's going to go under here to act as a lip for this. Alright? I'll show you how I'll do that. So you're going to have a piece of wood in here that I'm going to show you how to connect. And then this piece of wood, alright, is going to go over the front. Now, you may think you're smart and cut ahead of time, but I like to cut afterwards because all kinds of weird shit happens sometimes. I'm going to measure from here to there. It's going to be 31 inches. And basically, it's going to fit flush with that, like this. And I'm going to screw into this. My frame that I'm going to build for this is also going to, there's going to be a piece of wood screwing into this too. Alright, so here it is. Still need to put the top piece for the shelf. I got this piece in here cut at a 45-degree angle. Alright. You can get little flat brackets to stick right here, which I am going to use for the frame. But I chose to drill into an angle into that wood and use a long screw. And then I also drilled at an angle here into this piece and used a long screw that fits in there. You need to make sure you drill before you actually put your screws in. Alright, or you'll split your wood, depending on the kind of wood you're using. Okay? So, here's the flat piece that's going to go on there. Let's just go ahead and set that on there. And what this other little piece of wood does under here is acts as a lip to give this end support. So that is the shelf right there. I'm going to just stack the rest of them up to the ceiling. And this front little piece here allows me to screw my frame once I'm done. You'll see how that works. I'm going to screw my frame into that. Alright, so here's the frame that you see there that's going to go in the front of that. And what's going to happen is I'm going to wrap my fabric and staple it to the back side so the staples aren't on the front, which I haven't got the fabric yet. And I'm joining this real simply. This is not going to be holding any kind of weight, supporting anything. This frame is not. All it's going to have is the fabric on it. And all I'm doing to join the corners is I'm using a butt joint here, basically butting them up against each other. And I'm using this flat flange here, alright, and this. Now always drill your holes. You want to drill as long as this screw is into this, or you could drill all the way. I'm drilling all the way through. Of course, I'm putting something under here so I don't get my carpet. But you always want to drill your holes, otherwise you're going to split your wood if you don't know that, okay? So there's that. And there's the others right there. So once this is done, I'll put it up there, let you see what it's going to look like. And then I'm going to take it, I'll probably just leave it there for now. But that piece right there, in the end, is going to be screwed on to that piece right there. And that's basically what's going to hold it up there. It's going to be free floating except for the screws that I'm going to have. I'll probably just have 2 screws because this is really light. It's going to have like some kind of speaker fabric on it possibly. Not sure about the fabric yet. And it's basically just going to be sitting up against that. But it's going to be screwed into it. So there's that. Alright, so here's the frame. It's not attached. I didn't screw it down. It's kind of just leaning there. So it's going to look like it's off a little bit. But the frame is right there. And what's going to happen is I'm going to wrap my fabric around that first. And staple it on the back side. And then I'll end up screwing this into that. Alright. Now what I could do is screw it right now and then just staple my fabric to it. But I want the fabric to wrap around the wood. So I'll staple the fabric on the back side. Alright, so here's the corner base traps that I've made. Almost completed. And that frame's just laying up against there. That's not how it's going to look, of course. They're going to be covered with fabric, as you may have guessed. And this frame, I'm only going to have 1 screw right there attaching it to that. This thing weighs about, this little frame here, alright, weighs about, I don't know, 5 pounds, really light. And it's basically just sitting there on its own, as you can see. And the only thing going to be on that is fabric to conceal what's behind it. So once I get my fabric, the wife's going to be picking out the fabric. We're going to be going out tomorrow, probably to the thrift store, and we're going to see what we can find. Alright, so here's the fabric for the corner base trap frames. It is charcoal black king size sheet, I believe, or something like that. My wife picked it out at We were at a thrift store. We were popping tags because we had $20 in our pocket. You know what I'm saying? And that's gonna go up there. All right. So I don't know about you motherfuckers, but I love thrift shopping. Saw some other shit there that I bought. It's just how I roll. But anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna basically, that little overhang right there is gonna allow me to wrap it over. I'll be able to wrap it up over right there, and I got another little bit end, some over there that I can wrap over. And I'm gonna cut just a little bit right there so I can have something to wrap over. And then the front of the frame at the top is gonna have like a little border. So along the top edge, it's gonna have like a little border. Because it's cool to have a border, you know what I'm saying? Alright, so I got one whole line stapled across the side, and usually you want to do one side first. And you want to keep pretty much the same distance all the way across, so that when you pull on the other side, it'll be even and there won't be any wrinkles going this way or that way. Just trust me on this. Alright? Kind of the same distance. If you have different varying distances, you're going to get little wrinkles going this way and this way. I haven't pulled it tight, so now I'm going to pull it tight, wrap it around, staple it on the other side. And that's where we're at. Alright, so the corner traps are done. They're basically being held. I got behind there with my hand and got like some mechanics wire, and I basically kind of wound it down to keep it tight. It basically just needs to have something to hold it there just in case, but they can pretty much stand there on their own. So there's like no screws on the front or no staples on the front. It just looks like a flat panel. I've already built one of the ceiling clouds. You can't really tell from the color, but it's a navy blue. And it's got like a crosshatch design. I'll give you a better picture of that later. But right now, for hanging it, I'm drilling my holes for my eye bolts. Alright? Using that drill bit to hang it from the ceiling.